develop so quickly throughout infancy, it is best to look at the month-to-month developments that come about. Infancy is described as the first 24 months of life. To understand the speedy advancements that infants experience, we will look at their capabilities with their sensory and motor skills. Starting from the first month of life, we will observe their reflexes, language skills, cognitive development, habituation, object permanence, and memory over the course of the next 24 months.
There are several concepts that span throughout infancy, which can include things like temperament. This can be viewed as the behavioral and reactionary aspects of oneself that are thought to be innate. During infancy, many kids start to show their personality. There are 3 types of temperament: easy temperament, difficult temperament, and slow to warm up or wary. For easy temperament, infants with this temperament are flexible and can adapt to things pretty well. In a difficult temperament, they may protest, tend to have irregular schedules, and do not react to new or unfamiliar situations well. For slow to warm up or wary temperament, they generally respond negatively to new situations, but tend to accept them more quickly than those with a difficult temperament. Another concept is imprinting. This is known as the process of following and preferring. Lorenz, who conducted the study with baby geese for imprinting, says that in infancies, babies tend to follow and prefer certain stimuli. The 2 main takeaways from the study include that infants may be inclined to seek out stimuli in their immediate environment and that there are apparent periods where imprinting needs to occur, called the critical period. Another concept that's important during infancy is daycare. This is an exosystem of the workplace and has a significant impact on how parents in the U.S. rely on daycare. In the U.S. workplace, most women are only given 6 to 8 weeks off after giving birth. This means they must return back to work well within the year that they give birth. Then the infant usually goes to daycare. The daycare to the infant is considered a microsystem, considering that's where they spend the majority of time while their parents are working. Too much daycare for children can have a negative impact, but the most important factor to consider is the quality of daycare. This refers to how attentive, affectionate, and responsive they are to the infant. Another thing that's important is Erikson's trust versus mistrust. Trust versus mistrust is the first stage in Erik Erikson's theory of psychosocial development. This stage begins at birth and lasts through 1 year of age. Infants learn to trust that their caregivers will meet their basic needs, and if these needs are not consistently met, mistrust, suspicion, and anxiety may develop. A final concept is the types of attachment and strange situation paradigm. The strange situation paradigm is a research theory that was created by Mary Ainsworth. This study was aimed to view behavior when infants are separated from their attachment figure. To test these infant and their attachment figures, they would initially be in a room by themselves, and the infant would be free to explore the room. Next, a stranger would also enter the room and talk to the parent. Next, the parent leaves the infant alone in the room with the stranger, and how they react to this separation episode determines how they are attached to their caretaker. The different types of attachment include a secure attachment, insecure resistant attachment, insecure avoidant attachment. Secure attachment is demonstrated by infants who explore strange environments freely while their caretaker is there, and also noticeably but controllably upset when they realize they have been separated. Upon reunion, they greet and seek contact with their caregiver. Insecure resistant attachment infants show a general reluctance to explore the new environment, even when in presence of only their caretaker. When the stranger does enter the room, the infant is wary and avoids interaction and is extremely upset. Often, they continue to be upset even upon reunion with their caretaker. Insecure avoidant attachment infants show little or no interest in exploring the new environment or interacting with the stranger in any way. In addition, they appear to avoid contact with the caretaker when they return. Together, they avoid contact and exploration and lack the emotional behavior reaction to separation and reunion that are present in the other types of attachment.
During the months 0 to 4, a baby's capabilities are limited. During the first month, their language is yet to develop and their communication is only through cries. Their eyesight is restrained to distance roughly 8 to 12 inches away from their eyes. Their motor skills are limited as they will be unable to lift or support their heads, although capable of some basic movements. Newborns have no capabilities when it comes to memory, object permanence, or other cognitive-related developments. Just 4 weeks later, month 2, the baby's hearing is fully developed. Their reflexes may start to include responses to noise, especially to familiar voices or sounds. The baby's vision will begin to become more coordinated as they can start to track objects with their eyes. Already by 2 months, the baby may begin to coo and repeat vowel sounds when talked to. Motor skills are improving, but are far from developed yet. They may begin to attempt to support their heads, move their shoulders, and kick their legs. Month baby is now making eye contact, babbling, mimicking noises, and even begins to open and close their hands. The baby will be able to support their head now when sitting, and it may still bobble forward. Babies during this age will be able to hold small objects and pull at blankets and clothes. Babies will now respond to sound by turning their heads and might respond to it through coos, babbles, squeals, and chuckles. Your baby will now be able to recognize faces, objects, and sounds. Although able to recognize, object permanence is not fully developed. Babies will also begin to show awareness during strained situations. Okay. Only 4 months after birth, and your baby is capable of much more so quickly. Baby's motor skills will now include good head control, being able to sit with support, bear weight on legs when held upright, and roll from back to side. Babies will explore with their hands by attempting to grasp and reach for things, and their hand-eye coordination begins. With their language skills, babies can make consonant sounds and laugh. Babies also enjoy being rocked, bounced, swung, and talked to.
Moving into 4 to 8 months, babies are moving into the attachment and the making phase. They will begin reacting differently and more quickly to primary caregivers rather than strangers, and they'll start building trust and caregivers to fulfill their needs. As for their language development, they are solely babbling and copying sounds. They haven't yet learned their first words, however they will respond to their name. Moving into cognitive development, babies enjoy peekaboo games and playing with toys. They'll shake their toys in their hand and may put them in their mouth. Babies will search for hidden objects as they start to develop object permanence. As for physical development, babies will try to sit alone, however they'll need support from their hands. They can raise their head and chest while laying on their stomach and begin to crawl. They will roll from their back to their stomach, and they can also stand while holding onto a table. They will also start to notice other people's actions and watch them from across the room. During their social development, babies will begin to recognize familiar faces, which goes into the attachment and the making phase. They will react when approached by other babies by either wanting to play or cry. They will also reach their hands out to be picked up. And ending with the emotional development, during this 4 to 8 month stage, babies will start to become more settled in their sleeping and eating patterns, and they will begin to show caution around strangers. They may become worried or anxious when their parents leave the room, but will be happy when they see familiar faces.
Moving on to 8 to 12 months. During this stage, the baby has learned object permanence, being able to distinguish shapes, learn one-word phrases, which is the holographic word, crawling very well, being able to sit up without any help. They might also be able to walk while holding furniture for assistance. At 9 months, some infants tend to skip the crawling stage and proceed directly from scooting to walking. During this stage, they fall frequently after a few steps, mainly because they haven't quite figured out how to balance themselves. Language. At about 8 months, babies begin babbling, which is very different from cooing, because with babble, words are ordered, but not in sequence to form a sentence. During this stage, parents often mistake it by saying infants spoke at an early age. The first word, which is the holographic speech, emerges at around 12 months. This is when a syllabus is used to converse a particular wish or wants. They also start to develop schema, which is a representation of a plan that organizes information categorically. And that is why we see infants playing and engaging with the same object over and over again, yielding the same results. They keep wanting to do the same things because they love the fact that it's predictable to them. Attachment stage. At this stage, the infant 8 to 12 months already has a clear understanding of who his or her caregiver is. They begin to develop clear-cut attachment, which is also known as separation anxiety. This occurs when the infant starts to sense that they are being separated from their caregiver. They show a strong sense of fear towards strangers due to their preference for a particular individual. The social, emotional, and development by the age of 8 to 12 months, the child has been able to build up a particular identity that shows feelings like pity, satisfaction, outrage, dread, hurt, or inconvenience. They start to sense when a parent or caregiver likes and dislikes a certain behavior. They start mimicking and imitating other children, shows all types of emotions, and always seek comfort when distressed. Trust versus mistrust is the first stage of Eric's. Oh God. Okay.
Erickson's.
Yeah, I can't even say it. Okay. Trust versus mistrust is the first stage in Eric Erickson's theory of psychosocial development. This stage starts during childbirth, proceeds to roughly a year and a half. Amid this stage, the newborn child is unsure about the world in which they live and looks towards the essential parental figure for dependability and consistency of consideration. If the care the infant receives is steady, unsurprising, and dependable, they will build a feeling of trust, which will convey with them to different connections, and they will almost certainly feel safe, notwithstanding when threatened. When these necessities are not reliably met, mistrust, doubt, and tension may start to develop. If the care has been conflicting, eccentric, and untrustworthy, at that point the infant may build up a feeling of doubt and uneasiness. In this circumstance, the infant won't believe in the general surroundings or in their capacities to impact occasions. From 8 to 12 months, the infant is still at the sensory motor stage. This stage surrounds infancy, and it is when they start to go through experiences like interacting with people and objects.
Since infancy ranges from birth to age 2, it leaves little doubt as to when a baby may be called an infant and when they move on to toddlerhood. From 12 to 16 months, infants will start being able to stand on their own or even start walking. They may be climbing furniture, stairs, or even start running. Infants are very curious at this stage. They're also learning by banging or shaking things. By the time infants are in this stage, they should have well-developed emotional attachments to people and start to show affection. Infants are in their clear-cut attachment phase during these months. Separation anxiety starts showing around 14 months, and they'll be fearful when separated from an attachment figure. Some may even throw tantrums when this happens. An interesting thing that happens in this stage is infants begin to understand how others feel. For example, if they see someone that's looking sad or crying, they'll look sad as well. Babbling is long gone in this stage, and you should be hearing real words along with grunts, nods, and pointing. First words are being spoken at this stage. Proto-words, non-words with consistent meaning are being used in this stage, such as a baby may say "brella," meaning umbrella, as well as hollow phrases, single words with sentence-like meanings. So a baby may say "mama," which means "mother, bring me the milk." Infants also begin hugging at this stage as well.
Your child has officially reached the 16 to 20-month-old stage, and during this time, children are more curious about the world around them. Simple puzzles, shape sorting, and interactions with their parents and peers are crucial to their development. Also during this time, they are in constant motion, playing, walking, and maybe even climbing. They're experiencing a range of motions that can lead to other crucial movements later on, such as running and jumping. As far as their emotions are concerned, the child also begins to express their emotion fluidity in many forms. You may experience this in tantrums and separation anxiety. It is important to relate and instill in your child early to express their feelings in a calm, understandable manner, and the child has a sense of security that you will always return. Physically, the child as early as 16 months can develop baby canines as their bottom teeth may begin to erode. This development helps a lot with their speech development. Speech also plays an important role in the child's growth and contributes to their world exploration. Speech helps the child relate what they want and think clearly. During this time, about half as many toddlers say up to 3 to 15 comprehensive words at a time. This helps them understand and gain knowledge about the world around them and how it works. Enjoy each of these milestones and support your child every step of the way.
The next stage is 20 to 24 months. As we all know, babies grow a significant amount physically and mentally during their childhood. During infancy, brain growth is very apparent. At this time, the infant's brain will have grown from 1/4 of its adult size to 3/4 of the overall adult size, which shows the importance of development in this stage. Additionally, at this age, language has developed significantly. The main accomplishments include longer sentences and more grammatical variation. It can also include more correct uses of word classes. By this point, most will have reached and passed holographic speech as well as telegraphic speech. As for cognitive development, according to Piaget, infants are in the sensory motor stage. This includes characteristics that include motoric intelligence, understanding of the world here and now, no language in the earlier stages, but not for 20 to 24 months, and no notion of objective reality. Object permanence at this stage should be present. At this stage, infants should be in the clear-cut attachment phase. This demonstrates that a child has clear and consistent preferences over their caretakers. At this point in time, infants are walking and exploring. They can most likely run and climb stairs while using the handrail. They can also do activities such as standing on their tiptoes and kicking a ball. They even have the ability to carry some of their own toys themselves. They can also begin to develop their own fine motor skills, such as brushing their own teeth with assistance and brushing their own hair. They can even turn on the faucet to wash their own hands. As far as cognitive development, as they reach 2 years old, they will be involved in more complicated play, such as doing very small puzzles, grouping toys by color or shape, and make-believe play.
In order to promote your baby's health and development, it's important to hold and soothe the baby with physical contact. It's also important to speak and talk to your baby to encourage language skills. Babies need lots of stimuli to help aid in their development, so bright, colorful toys should be played with and interesting noises should be made. Although these are just guidelines and babies develop differently along their own timelines, it's important to watch that your baby is making progress and reaching important milestones as they grow up. With the watchful eye of a caring parent, it should ensure that they will be a happy, healthy child.